Hi there, and welcome to Belt Friends. My name is Casey Hutchinson. I'm the president of Empire Rubber and Supply Company, and this is my podcast where I sit down with leaders in our industry to discuss belting, of course, and componentry that might help a belt move, but also turn them upside down and see what falls out, get to know them a little bit better, and share them with you. My guest today is Pedro Liriano. I'm already screwing it up. Liriano, because I wanted to say it right. Outside sales for Eno USA. Pedro, welcome.
Hey, great to be here, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you, Pedro. You and I have been buddies for a while. Compliments of going to the same convention each year and rubbing elbows.
Yes.
And you're certainly the only Pedro I'd ever vote for.
And us chasing you, too. I remember chasing you for a lot of business and follow-ups, right?
Heck yeah.
I'm the follow-up guy.
Yeah. No, you're good. No one can say you're not a closer. You're going to chase that close. Well, as I always start with everyone, usually I want to lean into you to tell us about yourself, where you grew up, family and education, that sort of thing, before we get going with, of course, Belt.
All right. Yeah. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I could say I grew up, I want to say most of my years were in Maryland. So in the Maryland area, I have a brother. It's just me and my brother. And then I also have big family, right? So a big family, most in New York and Maryland, a real huge family that I come from. So that's why I guess I'm always go because of the huge family that I have. But I'm married. I have 5 beautiful kids. My youngest is 18, just started college. I have my beautiful daughter. She's married in Delaware, so she's with my favorite grandson. My favorite grandson.
Sorry, careful now. We can edit in post.
my favorite son-in-law. And I have my 4 boys with my wife here in Buffalo. So, my oldest is married, and I have a beautiful grandson. His name is August, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that kid is just brings something new, right, with life in him.
Like seeing the world all over again, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I can't forget my daughter-in-law and, my other boys that hard workers, right? They're hard workers. They're out there. They're in a new adventure now. I got 3 of them now that are working for the same company and making more than me right now. So, I'm excited for them.
So a different company, not a belt company. Then.
Yes, not a belt company. They're definitely a different company, not a belt company. They just, they don't work together as in on the same sites all the time, but they're working for the same company. So it's a new experience going on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Education?
So I went to school till 16. So I got my GED.
Yeah,
so
buddy.
I dropped out at 16. I had to get to work. I got my GED. I found out very quickly as I dropped out before high school that I wasn't going but a certain, I wasn't going to get but a certain distance. So I went back. I got my GED. That's where I met my daughter's mother. That's where we met. I was learning mechanics. I was getting my GED studies in, so I got my GED, and then from there just went right to work. So if we talk about work, I've done so much stuff, right?
Work's education, talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, so I since young, right, I was helping my mother and my aunts, right? So I have like I said, I had a big family. I have a big family. So, I was helping to clean houses, right? So they went into real estate. And then at 14, I started working at Little Caesars. It was like my first real, going in and learning how to make pizzas, and I loved it. I just moved up the ladder so quick. And then from there for some reason it was always fast food. It was just from McDonald's to Domino's to Pizza Hut. It was just so many things.
Hey, I'm a pizza junkie. I did 2 tours of duty at Izzy's Pizza here in our local chain. So I buy it. I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been, construction. I when I think about it, when I look back, because I do look back, right? Because belting is my first career that I actually knew that it could be a career, right? Everything for me was a job. There was a job. I was working. I was just trying to make money to keep food on the table, just live life. And then when I joined belting, like 5 years in, is when I realized, this is a career. This is something that I can really do. But I've done it all. I mean, construction, driving a bus, delivering pizzas, everything, until I got into belting.
Well, it's time to crack the can, man. What about belting? Tell us about your adventures in the industry prior to Eno USA.
So I started 17 years ago. So we were living in Maryland, right? I was a real estate agent, helping my mother's clients, driving a metro bus at the same time, and delivering pizzas. I had learned about Dave Ramsey, so I was working the plan, making extra money to get out of debt. And my wife wanted to move back to Buffalo, right? It just wasn't, the traffic, and in Buffalo there's a saying, you can get anywhere in 20 minutes. Doesn't matter the traffic, doesn't matter anything. In Maryland, you get stuck. 15 minutes can turn to an hour and 45. And she was, taking the kids back and forth to school. She was not happy with that. So she actually had my father-in-law, let me know that there was an opening. And I was going to come back, and I was going to be interviewing for a position at Havasit Globe. Yeah. So I lived right down the street from Havasit Globe. Didn't know, what in Buffalo, that's where my wife grew up, and so I was going to come in.
And your father-in-law worked at Havasit for how long?
My father-in-law, he started in the rubber industry, and he was at Dunlop, and then from there, he was part of belt maintenance, and then he finished his career at QBM, quality belt maintenance there out of Canada, and he. For over 44 years or something, he was in the industry. Yeah. So then he found me a position, and then he didn't work with family, right? That was a big thing. I don't work with family, so he got me an interview in lightweight. So when my mother-in-law found out that the job at Havasit was going to be cleaning out the machine, third shift, it was going to be dirty work, she kind of thought I wasn't going to be happy with that I was looking for something different. So my father-in-law kept asking around, and Steve Beecher, at that time with Sampla, said, "Oh yeah, we're looking for somebody. Why don't you bring him in for the interview?" And then I came in for the interview.
Oh wow!
So
that gave you, because you didn't get to climb into any sales roles or anything. No. But you got to know how everything came together. Yeah.
No, I came in green, right? Like I came in for the interview. Chris Ballant, I never forget. Steve Beecher's interview's almost over, and Chris Ballant walks in. And he's the general manager, right? I'm like, okay, I'm busy, So he asked me a few questions, and he asked me a question that I never thought of, right? He's like, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" I'm working day to day. I'm working, it really hit me like, what do I want to do in 5 years? So that kind of started opening my mind of like, what do you want to do, right? And I'm just in the interview like, I want to be selling belts. Yeah, I want to, So they were trying to grow Latin America, and I was really just looking for a job, right? I just needed, so I could move back. I was going to get my license in real estate, start selling real estate again. I was going to be a multi-level marketer. I was going to do all these things, that were in my mind. And this was just going to be a stepping stone to get there. And after 5 years of working and learning, I decided that this was a career. But I came in like, went in the shop for a few months, I always thought it was a few months. You know, the shop manager at the time, Rocco, told me, yeah, no, buddy, we only had you for a month and we had to get you out of there. I got into inside sales, and then when you hear, right, because, you know, so I didn't get into customer service, right? So now with the experience that I have, I look back. So now is when I'm looking back, right? I just had a 10 months experience with a great company, right? I was with Nationwide Belting and RJ Evans. And he really helped me look at things and just look at history and kind of see, you know, how the customer service and inside sales has changed. When we were at Sampla, when I learned belting, I learned inside sales, right? So everybody knows Pedro. Like, I would call you, I would quote you a belt, I would let you know what we had, I would quote you the belt, I would follow up with you. Sometimes you might have forgot about it. Oh, thanks. And you go and follow up, and then you get the order. I would get the order, enter the order, close the order. It was all these things that I was just learning, right? Because when I first came in, they sat me down after the shop. It was a computer and a phone, and we'll keep the names. Somebody walked away and told me, all right, sell belts. And I sat there like, and we were just in a little office, just the same set. Dave Scheffler was in front of me. I was sitting here, and Gary was sitting next to me, and I looked at Dave, and Dave looked at me and said, oh, yeah, just start selling belts. So
off to the wolves.
And then I just started. I started looking, and I learned very quickly how to find a distributor. I didn't even know how to find a distributor, right? Like, you got to go for the distributors, and I was only allowed to call outside of the U.S. I could not make any calls in the U.S. So most of my business was, when I started, it was to grow. That's what, you know, they wanted me for. They wanted me to grow Central America, the Caribbeans, and everything. So I said, okay. So I focused. My family's Dominican, and I love going to the Dominican Republic. And I told myself, I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus on selling belts in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, and those are going to be my main. And then I'll go down Central America, no problem. And slowly but surely, that's what I did, you know.
Wow. And so we'll get into this further with the National Industrial Belting Association, but our industry doesn't always translate well, especially when it's new to you and trying to talk to them. You're trying to learn the language of conveyor belting along the way. My goodness, that had to be difficult.
Very difficult, because then on top of that, you learn the language in English, and there's no true turn to learning it in Spanish. Like, you don't just say lacing, and then all of a sudden you know that lacing means grapa in Spanish, right? Or you don't say endless and sin fin. You don't know that the translations is not something that you know. And then my Spanish, when I was asked if I spoke Spanish, I do. I spoke Spanish, and I could, you know, if you left me anywhere, I would sell anything, and I would be understood. I didn't know it was a whole graphic of writing and, you know, emails and everything else that came with it. So I have a history of my last 17 years where I had to learn, because my Spanish came from home. So I learned my Spanish from the house. Then I went to school, and it was English. And then when I took trips, so my Spanish, when I speak now, because I said there's still a going joke that, you know, Pedro's, you know, still learning Spanish, still flows, right? But I'm understood. I mean, you know, people will say something, hey, you know, you should learn that. I say, well, you know, how come you don't know that? I say, I don't know that, but I still sell belts. So it was a big thing, because it was good in the relationships that I was building with distributors, let's say in the Dominican Republic, where they can correct me, and they, you know, and I'm open. I'm okay with that. I'm not, you know, it doesn't. I don't feel offended or nothing if anybody corrects me. I just flow with it, and that grew strong with relationships.
Yeah.
All along Central America. I mean, people know me, like Pedro. The Pedro, because I've called almost every single distributor all the way to South America, I think.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it's really out there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you've alluded to what dances you've done along the way. I know that Sampla Well, I didn't know Havosit, so that's cool. Havosit, Sampla. What came after Sampla?
So I never got the job at Havosit.
You did not?
Yeah.
Forgive me.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. I was coming for that interview,
Yep.
and then at the last minute we did Sampla.
Okay, I track now.
So I was with Sampla. I was with Sampla for 11 years. 3 of those years, the Megadyne Group, the Jason Industrial and the Megadyne Group bought in. So that was great. And that's another thing that I like to talk about too, is all the people that I've met. Not only from everything else that we do in belting and the calling and the distributorship, but just the companies too, right? The purchases. And so I've been
different changes and embraces and cultures along the way to learn from.
The different salespeople, right? Yeah. Learning time and belts. I mean, when Jason Industrial and Megadyne bought Sampla, we were selling lightweight belts, and then all of a sudden now you have time and belts, you have V belts, you have covered, you have, this whole new library that you're working with that, we weren't really doing at the time. Yeah. So, and then you meet guys that know that industry, and you take a little bit from everybody, and that's been a great thing going through. So the Megadyne Group got purchased, and then I decided it was time, right? So I wanted to grow. I think at that time I was at a point where I felt that I knew enough. I felt that I wanted to shine, right? So I feel that I've always shined, but I wanted to shine because I'm, as in group and team, right? Because it's never been really about me, right? When I work and I realize I use my team, right? It's the team that I have. Even at Sampla and any company that I've been at can tell you, and they know that I use the team. If I need a question answered, if I don't know a question, I'm not gonna act like I know a question.
No way.
Because right away in this industry, somebody knows when you don't know something, they lose all credibility. So I find and I know the people that know the answers, and that's who I reach out to.
Yeah.
So I've done that, all these years. So at that time, we were purchased by the Partners Group, and Amaral came along. Amaral got purchased too, and then the Megadyne Group came Omega. And I was already on the move to leave. I was already ready to go. I wanted to, I was looking for more income. I was looking for more income. I felt that I was probably worth more. I was nervous, right? This is, I didn't know. I came into the industry not knowing anything, and I was nervous. And I think that it was overdue for me to put myself out there, see what happens, take the jump, right? So I wanted to take a jump. And then UBR, Universal Belting, Vernon Smith and Jimmy Smith gave me a chance, Yeah. I went to a NIBA. It was one of the NIBAs I was able to get out to before, they were reducing the salespeople that were going. And, I was always respectful of everybody, right? Even in the competition in this industry, I'm one that I don't see that, right? Like, I've purchased belting and resold belting from every other manufacturer there is, Maybe not Havosit, but every other manufacturer that would sell it, to me, where we. That's why I love this industry, where you can resell, right?
It's impossible to be the jack of all trades.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I love, right? That I can, I know where they get that belt. No problem. I know I can get them a price. I know I can get them something that's going to help them. And if I can't, then I tell them where to get it. Oh yeah, you can just go this, because I know I'm not going to be competitive. And that's been through the whole. So I started with UBR, and I'll say, I say it, and then I've been saying that it changed my life. I mean, the trajectory that I had with UBR in those 3 years, it showed me what a true team was, what it was to be an outside salesperson. Because at Sampla I was hybrid for a while, and then at the end I was outside. But hybrid still meant that I was doing all my quotes, I was doing all my follow-ups, I was still doing all that. Yes, as an outside person, you should be doing your follow-ups, so that's okay. But I mean, joining UBR, they had a team so strong that all I had to do was be in front of the distributor, get the information, send it in. They quoted it. If it had something to go through the technical team, Darwin and the team Mike and everybody there would work on it.
Boy, that had to spoil you. Wow.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was great. And then the compensation, the way it worked, so the more I sold, the more I made, and that's with everything. And I just kept selling. I kept out, and for 3 years, it was great. They changed my life, and I tell them, listen, I told Vernon and Jimmy, I said, you guys changed my life. They were purchased by Belt Service, another great company. So I got to work with more guys, and that's another thing about working with some great heavyweight guys, and that's where more of the products came in, right? So I knew lightweight, I knew a little bit of timing belts, and then now here I'm going to be learning some heavyweight, some plastics, more timing belts, So great crew they had and everything. As I left, so when I left Sampler and joined UBR and realized my worth and realized how, what a great, how can I say it? It was just a great chance, right? Like they gave me a chance. They took a shot at me. They didn't have to, right? Like they didn't have to. Here's this Pedro that did, that doesn't, but they took that chance, And
you didn't flaunder it either, though. I mean, you saw the value in yourself, number one, but you took that and ran when you were part of a team that didn't. It's not like you had to turn around and be typing away on a quote over here. You could handle your business and keep chugging.
Yeah. It was just a new world, right? It was a new world. It was a new world of how. I've had great bosses and great mentors, right? But it was just different. Like I think everybody's got their own tweak that's different, and it was just I was me. Like, okay, you've been in the belting for 11 years, go. And then the relationships that I had, and then the nice thing about it is that I went to UBR and I worked at UBR's customers, right? Just worked with what they had and started from there. And as I grew more relationships and things grew, right? And then UBR always took the beautiful thing I love about it is that they took all their salespeople to NIBA. So that was always something. And that was a plus for me, right? Because that's my high right there. It's just, going out after a long year and being able to
celebrate at the convention with a lot of familiar faces.
Yes.
And distributors you're calling on too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I made an early decision when I realized, I said, I'm not gonna go backwards. That was a decision I made once I realized. I was like, if I would have been focused, because then a lot of it is on me too, because I wasn't focused, right? It was just a job. And after 5 years, when I decided, okay, this is it. So I'm 5 years in already that there's a ton of stuff that the guys taught me or wanted me to learn or told me, and I can remember that I was just like, I'm selling. I don't, and it's true. It's stuff now that I'm like, oh man. I tell people that I find when they're new, I tell them, I say, hey guys, when I go to see a distributor and somebody tells me they're new, I'm like, oh, listen, if they're in the shop, no matter where they're at, it's like, listen, everybody has to start from the bottom. If you make a plan, I can't be, okay, you don't have to be in sales, no problem. But if you make a plan and you start making steps to get there, to work there, you can be where you want to be. I mean, I'm 52. I'm working on my retirement. That's really what the kids are, my youngest is 18, like I said. I got a grandkid. I'm working on my retirement. I really want to get to that point where, I can see a date coming. And I can enjoy the grandkids and enjoy enjoy life, right?
Heck yeah.
So yeah, they with the changes that I had there, I was able to take my kids on trips, right? We were going to the Dominican Republic every year, something that I always wanted to do. Yeah. I did it for 3 years in a row, and it's fantastic when you can take your, and I already said it, right? I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, so all my trips were. If I don't have the, if I don't have the money for something, we don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't buy a car. I don't, whatever. We have to have the money for it. And then, a trip is great when you pay cash, and you don't have to worry about, come home, everything, you just keep it moving. So I've always been grateful for that, especially with my wife, the way she handles the money and everything for us, you know. So I always think on that point. So Bell Service came, great company, you know, great ton of guys. We did 3 years. I was learning. I couldn't understand some of the changes that were made, so I kept going. I was starting to go backwards, and then for me it was tough because I couldn't understand it, and I've always been that way. And it came to the point where so I decided it was time. You know, it was time. I was actually going to start with Eno in January. But then I was just a little, I don't know, just myself. I just got a little bit uncomfortable that, you know, I could see I was already, you know, it was really tearing at me because I really had a strong connection to UBR, you know, and everybody there and even Bell Service, right? Like I had some great, you know, relationships at Bell Service, and I said, oh, you know, you got to find a way. Like I got to find a way, but I couldn't see that way in that time. And then, so then before that happened, that was a time, you know, I was, I'm very, you know, I met RJ Evans, and he was, you know, he had just started Nationwide belting out of Genoa, Ohio. Great team that he has out there. You know, he hired me as a regional sales manager. You know, at first I was like, when did we have that conversation? You know, he brought me in, but he believed, you know, he really believed in me. You know, he really believes in me too. I know that his great thing was that he was going to teach me the technical, right? Like he's very technical in what he does. He knows his belting. And he told me, he said, Pedro, do you want to keep just going as you know, building relationships, or do you want to learn to the technical side of belting? Mm. And I said, you know, yeah, I do. You know, I had piece. That. Yeah, I definitely had that drive that I wanted to learn. So with that and a very nice offer, I ended up doing that. I joined him, and it was. Oh man, it was the hardest 10 months of my life of the industry, because it was work, right? It was work that I feel that, and now when I think about it is, you know, that I don't think I was ready. It was a heavyweight. I had to learn heavyweight.
It's a lot of intense information to digest to be able to turn around and sell.
Yes, and then I'm working with reps, and then, you know, so the reps are more in tune. You know, you have to know your product, right? Mm-hmm. So I know the lightweight, but I didn't know the heavyweight. It was no problem, right? For RJ, it was no problem. He was going to teach me, and he stayed true to his word, right? Everything. Some things, that even calculations or breakdowns, and when I didn't know them, and I told him, oh, no, I'm not too familiar with that, he would just walk me through it. And then I would ask him, how do you feel that I didn't know that after being, you know, 12 years in the industry? Well, it was 16 years in the industry. No, it's fine.
He wouldn't hang you for it.
No, he's like, that's the issue that we're having, right? We got all this knowledge, especially with the older generation that are retiring, that's not being passed down to the younger generation. Because for me, I know who knows, and that's been my whole career.
Same.
Right? Like, you know, there's some things that I really don't want to hold on to. But there's no fault in claiming ignorance either. If you're still going to fight to be the answer guy. Yeah. So, you know, it was a hard 10 months for me. You know, RJ did his best to work whatever we can work. It was interesting, right? I worked with different reps. It was a different challenge for me. They were great guys. I traveled. You know, I did a lot more flying, and I noticed that I'm really not. You know, I'd rather be in the car. Like, I'll travel from Buffalo to Florida or Buffalo to Maine or in a car. And it was just, you know, Buffalo with the connections. So there was a couple things that came up, and then I knew that I already had thoughts of Eno, right? That and I think we were all clear, like, you know, RJ knew too, right, that I had a thing. I wanted to make it work. but I wanted to come back to what I was used to, right?
Yeah.
Working with the manufacturer, lightweight belting, and kind of just
Right in your wheelhouse again.
yeah, and it was feeling comfortable, right? Just getting that. So so the end of June, I think it was, June, probably the end of May and stuff. You know, I let RJ know, and in July I started with Eno. So I've been with Eno now for almost 2 months, right? Almost 2 months. I did a month of onboarding. So it's funny. It's funny because we did a month. You know, Marco Martinez did a great job, right? With the and I went through it. Like he said, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be the first." You know, well, I'm the second, but I said, "Let's do it. Let's go through because anybody else that you bring through should go through the onboarding, and then I can be there too to help." So I did a month and a half of onboarding. I learned a lot of new stuff. You know, just like I learned a lot of stuff with RJ, and here I am. You know, this is actually my second trip. My second trip. Yes.
Thanks for letting him loose, Marco.
Yes.
Marco's good people. I like the corporate terms for onboarding. You know, it's funny when you fall into these terms. I'm like, I think I'm too small potatoes to onboard anyone, but I'll train the heck out of them.
No, I love it. I love it, and I didn't know. I had to look it up and understand, and Marco loves it. Like, you know, and I tell him, like, even all that time, I'm like, Marco, you're a professor. Like, you need to be a professor. Oh, thank you. You know,
don't give him that.
You know, he's talking, he's right, and all of a sudden, I'm like writing down a note, and I hear him pause, and after a while, I'm like, this guy is pausing every time I'm writing a note, so I can get the note out, and then I look up and I'm like, dude, are you pausing every time that I'm writing a note? Yeah, I just want to make sure you're paying attention.
Oh, that's good though.
So yeah, it's been exciting. And now at this time, what I'm doing, you know, what I do now is I'm thinking back a lot, right? Like these last, because, you know, a lot of people, like it's been 3 changes, right? It's, you know, and then I just think back of the difference, you know, where I started as an inside sales to where I am now, and where the industry is too. Mm-hmm. You know, because I feel that we are missing a lot. We are missing a lot. I think that distributors and other manufacturers are missing. You're missing that point where if somebody calls for a quote and they can't get an answer right away, they're going to go to the next person, and they're going to call the next, you know, the next manufacturer, or the next distributor, or even the end user. You know, they're just going to call. You know, it's, you know, just simple. And I think that we're losing some of that technical and just know from the retirement, you know, from people that are retiring and people that are leaving. And that's something that I'm seeing, and I don't know why I'm thinking about it so much, because I don't claim to know, you know, I'm good, but I see, like, even when, you know, if I like to, if you're not going to follow up, you're going to lose a sale, right? Follow up is key. Yeah. Just always follow up. You get something, and then until they tell you, hey, we didn't get the order, we don't know, don't follow up anymore. You know?
Well, it's a good thing it's engraved, and I don't know, maybe you've gotten a taste of it between East and West Coast, but East Coast sales tactics are a little different sometimes. That they'll fight to get that order, you know. And any good salesperson should. Follow-up's certainly worthy, you know, but those tactics are a dying breed. You know, as you watch, my lament is we lose these old boys of this knowledge, just like you do, and these younger people will get on board. They haven't been through the steps that those guys have been through. They get the easier answers to themselves if they're vigilant and look online and that sort of thing. But I like taking the steps and the intimacy to find out, well, why this, not that, you know? And it's hard to foster that.
And, you know, I don't want to take away from the new generation that come in. They've got a lot to offer.
We need them.
Yeah, they have a huge amount to offer and everything. I just feel there's that point where, there's got to be a little bit of connect, right? And maybe, I don't know, I feel like maybe 2021, maybe the changes, a lot of people with texting and emailing, and just send an email out. I don't remember, before then, I'd call. I needed a quote, I call somebody, I need a quote. Me sending an email out, I know that 4 other people are sending the same email out, and there's no relationship in that email. Like, whoever gets that email is going to answer them how they get it. They're going to quote you, whatever they quote you, and move forward. I feel that when you speak to somebody and you have that relationship and you call that person, hey, how are the kids? How you been? What's going on? And they know you for years, your quote's going to come to you. You're going to get an answer back faster than not knowing. And I learned that as I changed through companies, because I've called different manufacturers, I've called different distributors, and then you can tell, you're like, if you don't have the relationship, and then when you do have the relationship, so like now I'm back to where I've had relationships, right, that people know and see, right, like even our relationship, you'll get that call, right, so that's something I like to put out there.
Well, you're reaching past just the typed words, to hear them is... You're right. It's a lost art. Not a lot of people pick up that damn phone anymore. We're just now sound like 2 old boys bitching, But it's all right.
But I should talk. I should talk a little bit about Eno.
Please, Eno. Yeah, let us know. Eno USA, what they provide.
So Eno it's a large manufacturer, right? They've been 30 years in the industry. We have a location in Buffalo, New York. And it's going on 4 years now. Marco and Roberto are the ones that started up. It was just the 2 of them, that started, that they were able to convince the owners to open up the belt shop here in Buffalo, New York. The guys have been doing great, right? From, they did interviews, they did a whole bunch of things to get things going. So they wanted to get back to the core, right? With there's been a lot of buyouts. There's been a lot of things that changed in the industry, and as companies get bigger, customer service changes, right? That's all I'm talking about is customer service and how you get through, and if you can get through to somebody, and how things change. Well, I think that's what happened, in the industry, and they took some interviews and talked to people. So what Eno's trying to do is just make belting easy, right? Want to support the distributor or the OEM only through distribution, right? Where with the large manufacturer they can make sure that goals get done with no BS, right? Just you call, you reach us, we get you an answer, we quote you, and get your belt going. So we do lightweight conveyor belts, timing belts, PU urethane with steel and nylon. Steel and Kevlar cords. We have a line of the monolithic, which is reinforced. So we have the reinforced that we stock in Buffalo, but we also do non-reinforced as needed. We do Kevlar, needled Kevlar, felt, woven. We do, it's a full line of stuff that we're carrying. So in the Buffalo location, we stock our stock, and then we also fabricate. So we do full fabrication.
Value add, putting V-guides and cleats and splicing endless.
V-guide, cleats, sidewalls.
Yeah.
The guys do, we have, very experienced sewers too that do stitching on different, woven materials. The guys, the shop guys, it's, INO USA is 12 people. 12.
Here in the States.
And I just joined them, and they're fantastic, man. The guys there, and then we've known each other, right? So we've known each other for 17 years. Some of us 17 years, some of us 12, some of us 10. We just hired. They just hired Maddie, so Maddie's been with them for 2 years now, and Tara, but. Most of the group knows each other.
Well, it's personalized. That's the personalized to start with. It started small. I'm envious because the bigger you get, things can start flushing out from there a little bit, not intentionally.
And the focus is there too, right? Don't get me wrong. When I say, Eno is, small for, but I mean, Eno is a large manufacturer, right?
Yeah.
So they have their locations in China. They have a location in Germany, in Poland. I mean, we are there, right? With timing belts and everything. So the fabrication, not only from our location, but also from the factory is just, and then me coming on new, it's just exciting to see everything that's happening. The relationships that they already have grown, the relationships that I'm probably going to help grow, and then things that are going on, even with the factory and how responsive the factory is with quotes, right? Like, we're getting, we're sending emails and the quotes are coming in the very next day. We're able to quote the distributor, and it doesn't seem like there's a delay in anything like that. So I'm excited about what's happening. I am. The marketing that they're doing, with the videos, I love it. I love the introduction they did with me.
I thought that was neat because, I'll pay attention to you on LinkedIn and stuff, and I'm watching Pedro train with these boys, but it's twofold. It's helping your cause, it's helping their cause, and kind of a look beyond the veil of how it's made. If you're geeks like us in this industry, it's a good pitch.
Yeah, and then some people got some really good belts that I was there watching the other guys make. Because some people thought I was fabricating. I said, no, I was just watching.
No, Pedro, get him out of here. We don't want that.
No, I was watching. Yeah, it's exciting. I was.
What do you enjoy the most about the work you do? Because I thought it was profound that you said, as a young man, somebody asking you that tough question of 5 years from now and flipping it from job into career. Now it's your career.
Yeah.
Answer to that.
Yeah, I enjoy the relationships, right? So my father-in-law told me early, he gave me 2 rules, right? And he told me, listen, make sure that you do what you say, and don't ever, don't give anybody a promise that you can't fulfill, right? And if somebody needs help, if somebody calls you, hey, I'm in a bind, I need help, take care of them. Even if you don't charge them, you just take care of that person. They'll never forget.
Oh yeah.
That's what I've lived by.
Yeah.
Right. And this comes in. It's just Pedro, right? Like, it's just me. Like, I had that, and it's just, it's inside sales. People call, and I'm learning, and this. But every time I heard something, I'm in a, Pedro, I need help. I'm in a, no problem. Focus, and I talked to whoever I needed to talk to. If I had to go to the owner, hey, Fabio, I need this. We'd go and we get that done, and I've always been that way, with that. So and that's really what I enjoy. I enjoy the relationships. I enjoy growing the relationships. I realized that, right? And I've got some people that I call friends, right? I mean, yeah, we're on belt friends, but I truly call them friends. I mean, I've changed, even changing companies, right? And people that have left the industry that I've stayed friends with, right? Now they're back in the industry, but even, it's just people that are retired. I called somebody that was retired the other day, and he was like, oh, Pedro, how are you doing? He got all excited. He's like, oh, I kind of miss it, and I'm like, and then when we got off the phone, I'm like, was he asking me to see if Eno was hiring I was like, I was trying to figure out, I was like, oh man, was he just, I got off the phone, I told my wife, man, that was a great conversation, but I don't understand if he was asking me if was looking for a consultant, or, so I'm waiting for that call, see if he calls again.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I think you got your philosophies right, because I mean, you do right by your customer, the trust is right there, and a little known secret, when you take little chump change orders in a hurry,
yes,
they're going to come back to you for more.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's continued help, but it's, it's why we're in it. It's to reward, get the rewards and sell more, and that all spawns from that trust.
Yeah, because then you learn stuff, right? Like I've learned stuff during the time, and I just learned, and I still do it, I think, but I learned, like, so when I was at Nationwide, RJ told me, Pedro, you can't chase the money. And I know I'm chasing, yes, Pedro has been chasing the money, right? I know this. And then when he said that, I was like, oh, that's true. And then even when we go through visits and everything, so that kind of changed me too, right? When I'm going in, let's just be let it come. Let's work. Let's get the, and I like that because it has a change in it, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes I catch myself like, oh, Pedro, slow down. Don't think about don't think about that sale. Don't worry about it. And I love it because it's I honestly, and I'm going to say this because I have to say this. I promised myself I would say this. I don't really see like, I know there's competitors, right? There's competitors, right? There's different manufacturers. There's different. I think there's room for everybody. And I'm always open to everything. Like I said earlier, is that I would, people sell. Like people would sell to Pedro. Like if Pedro calls, and I think that's a big thing because if some people see you as a competitor, they won't sell you. Why? We're going to sell. We do the same thing. Yes, but I have this distributor here that I can probably get $100,000 of sales from your material. Would you be, okay, yeah, let's see if that's true. And then things happen and you show that. I think that I'm friendly and light by all levels of all the if I can say Havasit, Amaral, Curita, all the other, where that's how I carry myself, right? I mean, it's just, I think that, and then when we get together at NIBA, right? When we were at the convention, we could all come together and, NIBA really grew me in this industry, I'm some of the guys are saying that I'm a NIBA baby. But it's something that I don't think is set enough, Yes, it's competition, but there's a lot of business out there. And yes, sometimes we do go after each other's business at times and stuff, but I think that when somebody knows where to go to find something, it's the knowledge that you have. If you can help that person, grow more business, eventually if you find out and that person goes right to you, fine, can't deny that. But no. I think that there's a great spot for all of us, together. So
I think that's true. Why not be friendly? I have friendly competition. Maybe there's not so friendly competition out there, but that's how people choose how they want to conduct themselves, but you don't know when you're going to be, there might be a relationship there that furthers, because you could, next thing you know, they're working next to you like, hey, I'm in,
yes.
And so there's no harm there in friendly fire, so to speak. Okay, I wanted to circle back to this because we were talking about it earlier. NIBA, and forgive me, there's a lot of people who always tune into this and they don't know of the National Industrial Belting Association. My God, why don't they know about this? It's so awesome. But what's fascinating to me is because of your background, that they're utilizing that for what we touched on earlier of translating and trying to train. I mean, it's because shame on it, how it began, national. Now it's international. Yes. And I think that reach is vital, especially with what you talked about in your humble beginnings of trying to reach other countries and sell to them and yet try to translate it. How are you falling into that now with the NIBA committees? So
it's great. It's I've been trying to get on a committee since Sampler days. And it's funny because I've had 3 opportunities, right? I had an opportunity at Sampler, I had an opportunity at UBR, and then I had an opportunity at Nationwide, and then that's when I was able to get in. I love NIBA. I think NIBA it's great for the industry. When I went to NIBA, it was when NIBA was giving classes, so you would go in and there'd be a training. There'd be that training, and then I'd go to all the training. So I'd list, okay, so they got this speaker, this, not really the speaker. I would go to the speaker, but the training is the breakout sessions, maybe we can call them. And I would go to those breakout sessions, I'll sit there, and I'd look around, not knowing anybody, and it'd be the owners, it'd be managers, right? Like I was the only, like, who's this guy? Who's this inside sales? No title, just, taking notes and listening to the owners speak and listening to the managers speak. And that's what grew me, right? Like, NIBA really fed me some great stuff, And ever since then, I just, I wanted to be on a committee. Didn't work out at Sampler, didn't work out at UBR. And then I ended up on the LATAM committee, what we're doing is we're trying.
What is it? The
LATAM.
LATAM. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. There's a lot of acronyms and things, or short changes of words.
So we are. So the mission that the committee is working on is to grow more in Central America and Mexico, bringing in more distributors, more manufacturers, to give it a presence in the Spanish, and not even just the Spanish language, right? I think they're talking about the French. They're different languages, but most of us that are on that committee speak Spanish. Some better than others, just let me claim that right now. When they looked, when I joined, I was like, oh, yes, great. I was on a committee, and then there's some people on there that I was like, all right, so I had to join the committee to work with you guys, right? And they'll know who they are. Great guys. But, and it's great to work together, right? Like, it's great to work together, put things aside, be able to talk and confide in each other, right? Because when you go to NIBA, you have to put your NIBA hat on. So I got my NIBA hat on, and I think I got my NIBA hat on all the time. I don't know, but it's great. It's great to learn from them, right? And you see things that of what they do, and I think that this is really going to help. We have an event. They're going to be doing something at NIBA this year, so I won't be making it this year. I had some other plans that came up at the time, but I will be there next year.
Rock on, San Diego.
Yes, and then we have an event that we're working to do in November, and we're going to be at Flexco, at the Flexco location in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And we're doing, we're going to do it. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to pull in more owners and other, distributors that could see the value in NIBA, right? Because I think that in some points there are some values that we can come, even when I started. When I started and I was in those rooms, it was in those rooms, right? But then you got to enjoy. When I was in Tampa, we enjoyed it, right? I did that, and then I was able to go to the pool, and I was on, we've seen each other on the lazy river, going down the slide. But just like, when Mike was here, Mike really said, we were doing deals. We were, getting to know each other. We were, I'm, with no shirt on and my, and we're just, we're bare. It's exactly as Mike said, we're just bare, we're talking, and we're having a great time, and we're building relationships, and that just grew, right?
Yeah. And
then it's just how it elevates and how you learn how people use it, right? Because then I joined UBR, and it was a focus, right? It was like, hey, this is focus, you're on, this is, and that's where you build what you were building for the year.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
But we were doing that, but just not so, focused as it was. And yeah.
People can bring their guard down and have honest conversations.
Yes.
and for the betterment of things.
Yes.
In business.
Yes. And you met people that were, I met Misha Haynes. She passed away. She always sang the national anthem at the NIBAs. And her family, that's where I met her family, Gabby. And then Gabby was married, is married to Josh. And that's where I met them, like when they were just, boyfriend and girlfriend, and then the relationship grew. Then when I got Kentucky, I was out there visiting, and just different distributors and that we met at NIBA, right? Like, and then I would meet people from the West Coast that knew me because I used to call them when I was, on the phone and stuff, and we'd be the first time we met, just like we met, on the dance floor.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Please don't go into that story.
No, not at all. Not at all. I left that to you. See how I passed that on.
Good. George will ask later, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. And all the sampler guys are laughing right now.
I know it. All right, belt friend and belt. We've talked enough belt. What's fun when you're not doing this, Pedro?
Yeah, you were gonna, that question is, I like traveling when I can travel. Now that I can travel, I love. My kids, I think my kids know, but they, like taking my kids, especially those trips that we did to the Dominican Republic are the best, right? Where I can take them and they can see the life, they can see how people live. I love that, right? Because that's how I grew up. So with the kids, I love doing things like that. There is, and if I don't say this, they're gonna call my bluff. They're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" On my spare time, I really like playing. There's one video game that I like playing.
Oh, here
it's
we go.
only one.
Okay.
I'm a big Fortnite fan.
Yeah.
And
it's fun. You can put Air Jordans on them, and
yes.
Yeah, you can do everything. You can download skins. I see my kids doing it.
But you know what? I really, there was a time that I was really, this game. I just started playing the game. I've been playing that game for 6 years.
Dang.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really, now I'm trying to cut back. Now the boys, and the boys. That's how we used to connect too, right?
I'm sure.
I'd be the boys, be in there, and I'd be like, let's go, guys, and then we connect and playing the games and stuff. But I love, and then
well, you got to decompress somehow. So.
Yeah, but I think those are my main, and my main thing is just seeing, seeing the kids succeed too, right? Like just hearing their stories, seeing what they're going through, especially my daughter and her husband out there, and then my oldest son and his wife Abby. They're in their marriage and growth and everything, right? But it's exciting. Yeah. But no, mostly video games. Spending time. We go out. I like to go to different places with my wife, and we try to do some things. We are homebodies, but we try to get out. We try to get out when we can.
That's all right. When the home's good, it makes sense. Yeah. I get it. I get comfortable.
We're still, even through the job change and everything, we're still at the same place, right? We're still in her neighborhood where she grew up.
Oh, wow.
We're still in the same house, right? We live right next to my in-laws.
So a lot of familiarities around you.
Yeah, well, yeah. For the last 20, we're 25 years this year married. We've been together for
Congrats.
27, I think. So yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's 25 years. She reminded me. I said, I knew that. But yeah, so to 25 years in November. So I'm trying to make a plan, but we'll see.
Get on it, Pedro. All right, I always throw the zinger one. I looked this one up and I thought this would be a fun ask, but who would star in a movie about your life, Pedro? If they're going to make a movie about Pedro, you got somebody that would heck yeah, that guy's got to be Pedro. And would they vote for him?
Yeah, that's that's a tough one.
I know. It's an unfair question.
Because now I start thinking about it so much that there was so much, right? Because I had a tough time in my life too, right? When I was young, so. But I would say, come on.
There's a two-part to this. You got to think of the title of the movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Call it "Vote for Pedro" the movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
That's not fair. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. But because I'm thinking, I mean, it's just. You got me, man.
We can come back to it because the other question I had for is, or just shoot from the hip, was tell us something we don't know about you. And then you get to drop that on here and everyone gets to know it. Tell us something people don't know about you, Pedro.
That's going to be tough, Casey.
Okay. You're a pretty open book.
Yeah.
I figured that was a dumb question.
So I am an open book. I think that a lot, people could say that. I thought that, the video game thing was, just me and my kids, right, and the family, knew about. I like to, something that nobody knows, right?
Nah, you're an open book.
Yeah, I'm an open book, and I like to, I do like to, I know my wife's like, okay, let's hear this. I drive, I don't know. I just got a charger, V6 charger about 2 years ago that I like to take out and take for a drive. You know, even when I take it on the road with me when I'm traveling and stuff. You know.
But even just to cruise it when you know.
Even to cruise it. You know. My son Anthony is the one that actually found it, right? We were going to go half and half on it, and then my wife knew I was going to be wanting to have it on the road all the time and going on trips, and she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should focus and see, you know, if you're going to get it, just get it, and then let him use it when you can. So it's been great. It's been a great, and then he uses it when he needs it, and if I'm around, like he just uses this weekend and stuff, and it's awesome. But yeah. I think, there's even being an outside salesperson doing all the driving and stuff, I do enjoy, like sometimes Google. I think that Google knew when I got the charger in the beginning, because all of a sudden I was going on the MapQuest, I was going on a Google and it was taking me off the highways onto the country roads, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm just cruising around and they wouldn't even know. And then I get to a distributor and be like, and they'd be in the city or, close to it, and I'm like, man, I just took all these back roads. Why'd you take the back roads? I said, I don't know. Google must know something.
The scenic route was planned for you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then let me bring up, see what pours out of you. But if I mention the Buffalo Bills, what's that do to you?
Oh, yeah, it gets me excited, man.
That does?
Yeah.
Well, the season's
Buffalo
upon
Bills.
us.
Yeah. Buffalo is so I met my wife. In church, right? We went to the same church, and I'll never forget it. And that was it. Like, once we met, we really connected, and we were, from there it was 27 years later. I think sometimes she thinks twice about it, but hey, 4 kids in now, I think it's a little too late now. Just kidding, honey. But no, we have we've built a great family. Now my grandson is just the best, right? Like, he's just even today, my youngest started college. So in the morning when she was taking him, because my wife watches him, right? When my daughter-in-law and my oldest are working, he wanted a book bag because he wanted to fit in. So after she dropped off my son at college, she had to go to the store so August could pick out a book bag. And then he didn't want Elmo, he wanted Cookie Monster.
Nice.
So he got the Cookie Monster book bag ready, and then I got the picture of after school with him in his book bag and my oldest son. So I think those are the things now that I look at. He's just and looking for more grandkids.
Yeah.
Yes, more grandkids. That's a note. That's just note to someone, and they know who they are. They know who they are.
Well, you're back to simplicities when you're dealing with a young again. So that keeps you young at heart. That's good stuff.
I love it. Like, he calls me Papa Plumpy. So he was calling me. So I worked on him ever since he was born, and I had him, and I would be like, Papa, Papa. I would whisper Papa in his ear, and I was just like whisper, so like I'm whispering so my wife wouldn't know. So the first thing he would say Papa before he said Grandma. He started saying Papa, Papa, and he would say that when he started. That's how he would call me, because I kept whispering it to him, and he would be like, every time he see me, Papa, Papa, and then eventually he came out of it, and now he calls me Papa Plumpy. Papa Plumpy is because there's a Candyland, I guess. He has Plumpy there's a Plumpy and there's a Nut or Grandma Nut or something. There's something in the Candyland game.
So there's no ill intent, but here it comes.
No.
Okay.
No, it's Papa Plumpy and Grandma Nut.
Okay.
That's where we at.
And you're putting that out on the internet. Here
Yeah. I love that kid, Yeah, and that's how it is. Where I'm an open book, right? Where it's just and I think that I put that out, and I'm always even the guys at work are like, hey, but people know, right? Like if I'm having a bad day or something, I can't hide it. Like people know right away. Like, Pedro, what's going on? Nothing. No, I'm fine. No, something's going on. No, I'm fine. So we work on it. I'm still trying to think of that movie.
I'll give you time later because we're going to have to wrap it up, buddy.
Okay. All right.
I've done it to others, and it seems unfair when I don't even turn around. Wait a sec. How would I answer that myself? So, Pedro, thank you.
Mine would have been like a gangster, like, you know, a wannabe. Oh man!
Somebody tell the tough tale of Pedro before you cleaned up at the end.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah, you know, it was a tough life, right? It's, you know, when I say that, right, because I listen to all your podcasts and everything, you know, and I hear, you know, like I've done some college and stuff, but I want people to know that in this industry, you can make it from the bottom, right? Like, you're not going to come in. It doesn't matter your education, it doesn't, you know, even if basic math, whatever, you're going to make it as long as you apply yourself. And that's what I've learned, right? So I put that out there because when I say I use a team because sometimes I need a team. And if the team works and we all grow, that's what matters. Because I'll have people, you know, you know, major. I mean, I know that you can start from the bottom and get to where, you know, like get to where I'm at, or get to where there's some people out there that sometimes I hear them talk and I'm just like, oh, yeah, I want to learn that. Yeah. Just like, you know. So I just want to make sure that people know that in this industry, you can start anywhere, and you can, as you learn, as you go, and what you retain and what you do and how you treat other people is what's going to get you further. And then I hit a gold mine.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they don't want to hear that. They could be, wait a minute, we're going to switch that. that could help somebody else moving up, you know?
The tools are out there. It's too late.
Yeah. No, you know, it could be changed, you know, but yeah, it was great. It was just, you know, and then I found one distributor in the Dominican Republic that was just huge. And he kind of made my name at Sampla. And then that started my trips. So I was able to travel and go see distributors and work. And the funny thing is, I should say this, is that when I first started, I traveled and it was work, and it was go visit a distributor, go do a joint calls, go do everything, you know. And once that was done, I was doing my emails and everything, and I would do trips where I would go to the Dominican Republic, and it was working back home, which meant no beach, no recreation, none of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then I went with Marco one trip, and we were in Puerto Rico, and we were visiting distributors. We had a show we were going to do for a local distributor out there, and we did the show, and then he's like, hey, so you want to go to the beach? When are we going to the beach? And I looked at him, I said, what do you mean when we're going to the beach? He's like looking at me, he said, well, yeah, when we're going to the beach. Like, I said, no, we're working. I got to go and answer emails and go back to the hotel. He says, Pedro, you've been traveling for 5 years? I don't know how many years it was.
Yeah.
And you haven't gone to the beach here? He goes, no. I had, you know, every time I got to go back, I got to pull the car over. I said, what? Pull the car over right now. Pull the car over. Get out of the car. We walked. There was a beach down the street, and I had to splash my feet in the water, and he's like, how you feel? I said, oh, it feels good.
Yeah.
Dude, you're off at, you know, you work to a certain time, and then you have to enjoy yourself. And that's when I was like, so now I know.
Yeah, working to live, not living to work. You gotta take that moment.
And that was in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That was in the beginning where I was like, whoa, they're trusting me to send me out and everything. And now I've seen a lot of beaches. I've been, you know.
Good for you.
Cartagena. I've been to many beaches now.
Good for you.
I'll never forget that. And those are the things that happen, right? Like, you know, things that you're not aware of at the time, but then as you go back, you're like, wow. And it's true, right? Like, you know, you could like you said, right? You said
working to live, not living to work.
Yeah.
It's vital. I mean, well, plus if you're going to go out there in the world and do what we do, you got to have your own story to tell along the way, and it can't all be belting, you know. So
well, mine was all, and you think, but yeah, for those, you know, little by little, I had to come out of that.
Good work ethic start, though. I'll hand it to you.
Yeah. Yes.
Pedro, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming. Thanks for coming out here.
Yes.
Thanks for putting on the shirt.
Yes.
Like I said, the only Pedro I'll ever vote for.
Yes. I love it. No, thank you for having me. You know, I've watched every single episode. I've learned something from every single one, and it's great to learn. You know, especially, you know, when I, you know, and then I didn't know, like, you don't know who your guests are going to be, and then I saw Vernon, and I was like, oh, and then I'm telling everybody, oh my God, Vernon did a podcast. You got to see Vernon, and you know, when he talked about like the hay and all the, you know, different things that he's said, you know, and you see and you're like, oh man, and you break it down, and then you have your other guests. I think this is great. I think this is going to go far. I think that I'm happy that you gave me a chance, right? I hope I gave a little bit of a different view of where, you know, of different workers and in the industry too, right? Because you know, I just started as, you know, and I'm still, right, outside sales, right? We get out there, we try to help people and keep them moving, you know, keep them moving.
Well, when you're genuine like yourself, it shows. And I could watch your energy walk before I knew you, walking through the conventions and things like that. Like, who is that guy? I want to know. And there's a lot of people that know, I know who that guy is, and I want to bug him. And as a result of this, there's going to be more people bugging you, Pedro,
yes!
and that's a good thing too.
Okay. Oh man, I'll tell you, everybody knows. Everybody was like, "Yeah, have you ever heard of Belt Friends? Yeah, Belt Friends. Yeah,
Oh,
you know."
gosh.
So yeah, you should have a casting. And I said, yo, I have to get here. You know, I have to get here.
Well, thanks for getting here.
Yes.
Well, we've killed more than a perfectly good hour. With that, I'd like to thank George with New Wave Studios.
Yes, George.
George.
Let's go. Is here. I couldn't wait to meet George, man. I was like, George on the outskirts. I was like, yes.
Heck yeah. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back for more. George and I are going to the convention, and we're going to do some actual podcasts in person there with some individuals, and excited to keep expanding this. So thank you.